This day in sports history. This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. I'm a big fan of shave soap. I've been using different brands for years, and I recently gave Sterling's shave soaps a try, and I've been very happy with the results. Sterling's shave soaps give you a great lather and a frictionless feel that allows the razor to glide right over the skin for a super close shave. No skin irritation and a clean, refreshing feel with no soapy residue after. I can tell you without a doubt, it's simply the best shave I've ever had. And my wife has noticed too. And here's the thing. With the ability to purchase 1-ounce sample pucks, you can try out different scents to find the right one for you. Give Sterling Soap a try today. Visit sterlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com. It's November 22nd, and on this day in 1997, it was a dramatic finish to the Iron Bowl game between Alabama and Auburn. We're still more than a week away from the 2024 edition of the Iron Bowl, and there have been so many great games in this series that dates back to 1893. And this rivalry rarely fails to entertain. Well, in the 1997 edition, the Auburn Tigers entered the game as heavy favorites over Bama. The Terry Bowden-coached Tigers entered the game with an 8-2 record, ranked number 13 in the country, and they were looking to wrap up their first berth in the SEC championship game. The Crimson Tide were in year one of the Mike DuBose experience, and things were not going well. Bama was 4-6 coming in, and had lost 3 straight, which included an embarrassing 27-0 loss at home to LSU. But the old adage, you can throw out the records when these two get together, held true in this one. When Alabama's Shaun Alexander scored on a 12-yard run in the third quarter, the Tide was rolling with a 17-6 lead. The Tigers responded with a touchdown of their own, but they chose to go for the 2-point conversion and came up short. 17-12 now. An Auburn field goal cut that lead to 17-15 in the fourth quarter, but their next drive to find the go-ahead field goal or touchdown stalled, and the Tigers had to punt it away with less than 3 minutes to play. They were just hoping to get it back. Alabama just needed a few first downs to milk the clock down to triple zeros. The Tigers burned their final timeout with 1 minute 35 seconds remaining. Alabama ran the ball with Alexander the next play to take the clock down under a minute. On a 3rd and 8 with 51 seconds left, the unthinkable for Alabama happened. Here's Ron Franklin with the call for ESPN from that night.
And they are in hurt right now. 51 seconds and down to 50. Kitchen reverses it out, throws the ball to Sism, loses the football. Auburn recovers at the 33.
That was Alabama's second turnover of the day, and it was a killer. The Tigers ran a couple of plays to get it a little closer for senior kicker Jaret Holmes. He'd already hit 3 on the night, but he'd never kicked a game winner in his college career. And there was no bigger stage for him to do just that than in the Iron Bowl in front of the hometown Jordan-Hare Stadium crowd. Here's Auburn play-by-play legend Jim Fife with the call.
Ball at the left hash mark. There's the snap, the spot, kick is away. Long enough, high enough, kick, good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! Holmes from 39 yards! It's good! It's good! A mob scene! 15 seconds to go!
But there were still 15 seconds left. After a great return on the kickoff, Bama had a chance to steal the victory back. But A.J. Diaz's 57-yard field goal attempt fell well short, and Auburn won the 1997 edition of the Iron Bowl. On this day in 2012, it was the Butt Fumble. Thanksgiving is next week, but the first date on the calendar that Thanksgiving is possible is the 22nd. And so in 2012, while you were probably raiding the fridge for turkey leftovers and your second or third slice of pie, the New York Jets were playing the New England Patriots. Not much to really talk about here. It's one of the most embarrassing plays in the history of the NFL, and it turned quarterback Mark Sanchez into the butt of many jokes. The Patriots were already up 14-0 in the second quarter. The Jets had the ball at their own 31, and it was a busted play that only got more busted. Sanchez and fullback Lex Hilliard were not on the same page of the playbook. Sanchez turned one way, Hilliard went the other way, and so Sanchez was merely trying to salvage something out of the play, so he turned and he ran towards the line of scrimmage. He didn't make any movement to change direction, really. Instead, he ran right into the backside of his offensive lineman, Brandon Moore. Sanchez coughed up the football. Steve Gregory picked it up for the Patriots, and he ran 32 yards for the touchdown. It was part of a 35-point quarter for the Patriots on the way to a 49-19 win. After the game, Sanchez said, "It's the way it goes, and will probably be on a blooper reel for a while." On this day in 1962, it was the Thanksgiving Day Massacre in Detroit. Now, that moniker sounds a little bit over the top when you learn that the final score in this one was 26-14. But the reason for it is that the Lions defense sacked Packer quarterback Bart Starr 11 times in this one. This was a 2-loss Detroit Lions team against the undefeated Green Bay Packers. Green Bay had beaten the Lions earlier in the season after Milt Plum threw a late-game interception that led to Alex Karras throwing a helmet at him after the game. Well, in this one, Detroit stormed out to a 26-0 lead after Plum threw it to the right guy twice for a couple of early scores. And then the Lions defense returned a fumble for a touchdown. The Packers scored 14 in the fourth quarter, but it was too little too late. Detroit's win prevented the Green Bay Packers from becoming the first team in NFL history to run through the season undefeated. On this day in 1950, it was the lowest-scoring NBA game in history. The Fort Wayne Pistons head coach Murray Mendenhall did not feel like his team could match up and run the floor with the defending NBA champion Minneapolis Lakers, with the original big man, George Mikan, in the middle. The Lakers were also pretty tough at home. They'd won 29 straight coming into this one, so Mendenhall decided to do something a little bit different. Stall. In an era before the shot clock, there was no incentive to shoot, so why not? The Pistons led 8-7 after the first quarter. The Lakers fought back to take a 13-11 lead at the half. The Pistons cranked up the defense and slowed things down even more, allowing only 5 second-half points. When Fort Wayne's Larry Faust hit the go-ahead bucket with 6 seconds left, it was all the Pistons needed to wrap up the 19-18 win. After the game, Lakers coach Johnny Cunliffe was not happy, saying, "Play like that will kill professional basketball." He wasn't wrong. The 37 points is the lowest total in the NBA, and that will thankfully never be broken. Another record set on this night that will not be broken is Mikan scoring 15 of the Lakers' 18 points. That's 83% of his team's total. So here's the thing. This was more an aberration than a regular occurrence. Fort Wayne had scored 84 in a 4-point win a few nights earlier. They hadn't played a game where they scored less than 68 points so far that season, and they'd even scored 107 in the season opener versus Boston. Add to that these same two teams turned around and played each other again the next night, this time in Fort Wayne, and the Pistons won that one too, but by a dramatically different score of 73-63. But there was concern in the league office about a repeat of scores like this and draining support for the league. So this game put gears in motion towards improving the game. Now, those gears moved a little bit slower than they should have, but as I talked about a few weeks ago, the innovation of the 24-second shot clock would be instituted in 4 years, largely due to this game played on this day in 1950. Are you a hockey fan? Then you'll love Eric Zweig's new book, Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2. It's a treasure trove of untold tales, bizarre incidents, and captivating trivia that will leave even the most devoted puckhead astounded. The intense rivalries, epic showdowns, and historic clashes that shaped the NHL's early years, it's all in there. Zweig uncovers the true stories that helped shape the sport, ensuring that you will never look at hockey the same way again. Check out Hockey Hall of Fame True Stories 2 on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. On this day in 2003, the NHL took the game outside for the first edition of the Heritage Classic. So this was the first outdoor game the NHL put on during the regular season. If you'll remember back to the September 27th edition when I talked about the LA Kings and the New York Rangers playing an outdoor game in Las Vegas in 1991, well, that was a preseason game and the game time temperature was in the 80s, which made ice conditions a bit challenging. This game was the Montreal Canadiens versus the Edmonton Oilers in Alberta, and the conditions were the exact opposite of Vegas 12 years earlier. The game time temp was 0, and when you added in the wind chill, it felt like negative 22. That did not stop more than 57,000 from packing Commonwealth Stadium. Now, this game was inspired more by the success of the Cold War game between Michigan and Michigan State played in 2001 than what happened in Vegas, but what happened on this night let the NHL know that they were onto something. Montreal led 2-1 heading into the third period. They added to it with a Yannick Perreault goal early on to take a 2-goal lead. The Oilers scored a pair of goals within 2 minutes, but a Montreal goal sandwiched between those gave the Canadiens the 4-3 win. The NHL didn't make playing outside an immediate thing. It wasn't until 2008 that the Winter Classic made its debut and became an annual event, and then the Stadium Series got its start in 2014. The Heritage Classic did not make its return until 2011, and it is still a bit unique since it's not an annual event. And since we're talking about winter sports, how about when Norway's Olaf took to the air wearing a pair of skis to put in the history books the first ever ski jump? Now, I've seen this as 1808 or 1809, but folks are pretty straight on the November 22nd part. Olaf seemed like a pretty interesting dude, though I will admit my knowledge of Norwegian military history is just below don't know nothing. So he joined the Norwegian army in 1804 and rose up the ranks steadily. Well, on this day, again, either 1808 or 09, he was a lieutenant and he was wanting to display courage to his men as a way to inspire them. He was a pretty avid skier, and so he strapped on the old wooden boards and found a slope with a lip at the end to provide some lift, and he took flight for a measured 9.5 meters, or a little over 31 feet. And with that, ski jumping was born. And time now for today's Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. When Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle, his intention was to influence better labor laws and force better working conditions for the Chicago-based meatpackers. Instead, it led to changes in sanitation and meat handling. Not a bad thing, but not exactly what Sinclair was shooting for. That's all I've got for you today. Come on back tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.